Hello, good morning and or good afternoon, whatever time you're watching this, good evening, and welcome back to my channel, and also welcome to 2026. This is kind of the first, well, this is the first video back. I actually had a message from one of you guys on my trend posts on Instagram saying that you wanted another YouTube video, so a bit more kind of in depth talking through the trends, so that's what I'm doing today. I have focused on a few trends this year that are timeless. I think I'm always drawn to those trends anyway. As an interior designer, I don't think you really kind of are drawn to big, bold, out there, really crazy trends because it's a little bit harder to put them into people's houses and then be able to say that they're timeless. And I just think the timeless trends are probably more what we're drawn to as designers, and our job is to make something be able to stand the test of time. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm focusing on today. So I've got 5 trends and they are Glamoratti, neodeco, cool blue, laced up, and Afrohemian Decor. And I've been through them like really briefly on Instagram, but this is a bit more in depth about kind of what they are, how you can put them in your home, and yeah, like I said, they're all timeless trends, so even if you want to inject a couple things here and there, what people are more drawn towards this year, and probably what we're going to see a little bit more of in the interior industry. So first up, I'm going to start with Glamoratti, and this one is a bit more kind of injecting that glamour. I don't want to say blingy, but almost along those lines into our home, but in a classy, considered and timeless way. And I'm not talking about your grandma's gold-filled house or anything kind of advantageous like that. This is a bit more considered, and they're almost saying it's modern attitude but with a bit of glamour. We're thinking about rich saturated colours, which I'm already drawn to quite a lot, and I'm seeing a lot of people head towards these richer, deeper tones that are people that probably wouldn't have ventured into that section a bit more, and I think it's probably filtered through the industry from companies like Soho Home, that people want a lot more of that in their home, which I think is a timeless sort of trend. Those rich, deep colours, they imitate nature, so that is why I think it'll always work really, really well. We're also looking at like high shine lacquered finishes, sculptural furniture, which almost is a bit more of like a gallery museum style, but I'm already designing houses where the sofa is a little bit more sculptural rather than the bog standard kind of country feel, which I quite like. I think it can, like I said, add that sort of glamour to a space, and if you want to keep the rest of it toned down quite a lot, the sofa can speak volumes. And yeah, I'm a fan for this. I think it's a bit more of a bolder way going into this trend, and it is a lot in the high street now, so I worry a little bit on the sofa front of doing that, but if it's done really well, then I think it can work perfectly. We're talking about metallic accents, dramatic lighting, which we all love. And like I said, statement pieces that are bold, but yet refined and not too in your face. It's done in a cool contemporary way, but it isn't flashy, in your face, blingy. It's just really chic and well done. If you feel like your space is craving probably like a little bit more personality in it, then I would say this trend's really good for you. And if you want to give it that almost interior design level, but maybe on a bit more of a budget, then you can add in a few pieces here and there, and I think you do get that luxurious high-end feel without shelling out a lot of money. Okay, I'm gonna head on to the next one, which is neo-decor. Now, I am seeing Art Deco a lot more in interiors, and I'm a big fan on that. I think a lot of people are drawn to that trend, and I just think it's timeless, it works really well, but this is probably not so, again, advantageous. It's a bit more pared back, it's not so bold, but it's kind of injecting that Art Deco feeling into your home, elevate the space a lot more. If you love Art Deco, then this is a great way to pop it into your home and still make it feel quite timeless. It's having that 1920s glamour, but I don't want to say watering it down, but we're almost watering it down a little bit, making it feel a little bit less Great Gatsby and a little bit kind of more modern day feeling. So you get that kind of 1920s glamour, but in the modern contemporary setting. Again, more curved silhouettes, which I think work really well with what the Glamoratti we were saying. They're very similar trends, but Glamoratti is a little bit more less Art Deco, whereas this is a bit more focused on the 1920s style. And I think the curved shapes of the 1920s work really well against the Glamoratti. We're noticing a lot more fluted details on cabinetry. Again, deep jewel toned like emeralds, burgundies, bold oranges. Again, brass, bronze. I like mixing metals, so I think brushed nickel or chrome for me is quite bold, but it does work sometimes. But if you can get a bit of nickel in there, it's got almost like a softer, warmer, almost like toned down undertone to it, so it's not so like, whoa, walking into a space in it feeling a bit overwhelming, which I think works really well when you're mixing metals, so that can work really well in this trend. Neodeco feels structural, elegant, and almost a bit more architecturally focused, but not costumey. Very considered, beautiful, timeless, and it's got presence without feeling pretentious. And then the third trend that I'm going to be speaking about is laced up, which personally I think isn't practical for everyday living. I think you need to take this one probably with a pinch of salt. Laced up I think is beautiful, but having laced interiors in your home constantly I think could give you that grandma feel and not the timeless look that we're looking for. So I think you just need to consider it in different ways, whether it's in table settings or under a knife and fork, almost like where the napkin would sit, and make them more intentional on the table, or as a table linen, so all over the table, whether you're hosting. I think also it's going to be big in sort of weddings and that sort of area. One of my best mates works in events, and she has also said that lace in events is kind of taking off, and I've noticed it in some weddings that I've been to or seen online from friends. So it's hot right now, and I think it's a really good way to incorporate things. Lace comes back around. It often can go in and out of fashion, but it always is kind of there in the background. So I think it's just clever about using it, and I possibly wouldn't say that it's a thing that I would use every single day in my interiors, but it's nice for styling. It's not an expensive thing to invest in, so think about the small little details that you can put in your home that might just bring in that style slightly. The key points about this trend is it's romantic, it's delicate, it adds that sort of a British countryside aesthetic into the home. So that's a really lovely detail if you're trying to create more of a cottagey, homely feel. This is something that you could possibly consider. I also think the reason that this has become really apparent and in trend again is it's the juxtaposition against the hard surfaces, the minimalism, brutalist almost trend. It's now gone completely the other way, and I think people are looking for that nostalgia, that softness, that comfort in their home, and that's probably why lace has hit the market again. The fourth trend that I would love to speak about is Afrohemian Decor. Now I think this has slowly trickled into the trends. I've definitely noticed it last year, and I think it's just becoming a little bit more apparent in the high street and also a lot more easy to incorporate in your home. This is a beautiful fusion of Afrocentric craft mixed with a boho sort of style, and it's bringing those like gorgeous African textures of weaving and wood and colours, the amazing colours that they have, the mustards, the blues, the reds. I mean, obviously everyone at the minute, and they're so practical. I think for years and years and years, I don't think they'll ever become untrendy. We love the wicker baskets, and it's that sort of feeling to everything. Again, it's that sort of comfort, that turn away from the brutalist look. I think what a really good thing is to turn away from those collated collections that you could buy, the coffee table, the side tables, the TV unit and some drawers all in a set, and it looks like you've gone to a store, bought the bulk and taken it home. It doesn't feel like you've had an interior designer in there, or you've got history or meaning behind everything. And this trend is really apparently moving away from that, and everything is considered, everything has a story, everything's handmade, rooted in craftsmanship, and it's lovely when you've got people around. It's a good talking point, but also it just adds that character, and it'll be different for everyone. You know, you have a piece that no one else will have, and it just means that your home is totally unique to you and your family. Afrohemian brings depth, it brings meaning, and it's honouring heritage and artisan work, which we all love, and I think it's so important to do nowadays, and it's creating a relaxed, livable home rather than it being too pretentious and like everything's been bought from a luxury store. and has no meaning behind it. Now my last trend is cool blue, and I'm very particular on trends that are maybe more focused in colours. So the colour of the year, as much as I do love listening and watching what the colour of the year is it going to be something that I would push on to my clients and in my home? Probably not. However, this became a trend last year, which I think I spoke about in my 2025 interior trends, was blue. And this year it's definitely upped a level, and I've seen it a lot in the fashion world, which we saw again last year. But instead of a blue, kind of an electric pop of red moving into the pop of blue, it's done really contemporary style, and it's less about having accent items dropped throughout your home and more intentional pieces, having it a bit more statement piece. And I think when it's done really well and when it's paired against like a brown or a muted or a rich colour, I think it's really, really cool, and it pops so beautifully. Instead of a blue like vase or cushion, it's more focused on statement pieces like a curved sofa. Again, it's bold. You've got to take the plunge on this one, but I think if the interior is considered really beautifully, it can work really well. If it's not considered, I would say, or you're a little bit nervous about this trend, I would say stay away from it, because it can be a really, really tricky one. And I actually think blue is quite a hard one to incorporate in the home. However, when it is done really well, it is a massive wow factor. And I think the reason why cool blue would be such a wow factor is it's done very little. So if you can get it right, however, get it wrong and you don't hit the mark, I think it's such a waste of money buying such statement pieces in this colour. So I would tread this one very carefully. Also, again, harping back to that nature, so we're turning to more deeper, richer tones, as I've said in the other trends. The reason that I think this does work really well and can be really timeless if it's done in the right way is because if you look at around you, look at the sky, you look at the grass, you look at all the rich colours that we've got, the sky is the cool blue. So again, do it really well, but if you're nervous or you're a bit unsure, either ask your interior designer to help you on this one, or stay away from it completely, but it could be really cool. So there you have it. There are my 5 major trends for 2026. Whether you're looking to add a bit more bold, bit more glamour into your home, or you want to go back to your childhood and add in that little bit of nostalgia with the lace, the grandma sort of feeling, or you want to try and be a little bit bolder and add a bit of cool blue into your home, then I hope this has excited you for 2026. I'm really excited to work on interiors this year. I'm really busy, but my goal is to just expand the company. So if you have a project you'd like some help with, let me know. We are taking on more projects. We are fully booked. Now I would just say, I'm really sorry, we're gonna have to leave this one, but I have a few amazing freelancers who are working with me, and we're doing this in order to be able to take on more projects, grow the company, and yeah, basically. So if you are looking for any help, let me know. If you want to incorporate cool blue into your home but you have no idea where to start, then either we can book in a consultation or we can help with the whole of your interiors. I'd love to know what trend you're most excited about. Personally, I think the trend that I'm most excited about, I think Afrohemian Decor, I've seen quite a lot already and I got very excited about it last year. It's just a lot more apparent. So the one that I think is most exciting is probably the scariest one, cool blue, or I love the Glamoratti. I love rich tones. I've always been a fan of that sort of style. So seeing people venture into it a little bit more, but doing it timelessly. As I said, all of these trends can be done timelessly, and I think it's really important to do so you don't spend loads of money or have to rip it out in 5 years' time. If you have found this helpful or you have any specific videos that you'd love to see, whether it's tips on wardrobes or how to make your home office as efficient as possible, I have so many ideas, but I'd love to hear what you guys would like to hear. Obviously, this is something that you guys have requested, so it would be nice to be able to work together, help you guys out, any tips that you need for your home. So let me know, and please like, share and comment this video so I can continue doing these sorts of videos. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.